Why does this airline only operate one scheduled flight every month? Who's flying on it? And more importantly, how is it even sustainable? Well, this week I'm taking a flight on Eastern Airlines to try and find out.
Well, good morning, and in the words of Will Smith,
keep my wife's name out your f***ing mouth!
but also in the words of Will Smith, welcome to Miami. So we are flying on an airline today called Eastern Airlines. There's no signage up anywhere here at Miami for Eastern Airlines, so I've got a bit of a task now to try and find where I need to go to check in, because, well, it's not listed anywhere, and everybody we've spoken to about it so far doesn't have any clue about who Eastern Airlines are or where you check in for them, so I've got no idea where we need to be. Let's go and see if we can find a check-in desk.
Eventually we found the Eastern Airlines check-in desks, and in the first weird thing to happen today, it seems they were expecting us.
Good morning. Checking in, please, for Eastern.
Noel is Rachel.
Yes. Probably the only people on the flight, are we?
First class?
Yeah, business class, yeah, or whatever it's called.
Is it not a bit scary that he knows who we are when we all come together?
That is slightly scary. Probably thinking these are strange people. They're the only people. We've got our names on a sticker there.
I don't know why.
It's worrying that.
Yeah. It's a bit concerning.
Alright, perfect. Thank you very much. The bag tag on the back.
Yeah, thank you.
Wonderful. Alright, thank you. Thank you, you too. So Eastern Airlines are a little bit of a strange one. You see, they're the only airline I know that operate just one flight a month. Not even like one a week, not even to multiple destinations. They just operate one single flight a month from here in Miami to Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic, and that's it. It's all a bit strange. There's so many questions I have about this. How do they even exist on one flight a month is one of them, I guess. But also, like, why? Why one, and why between Miami and Santo Domingo? It's all a little bit weird. Right, so there is my ride down to the Dominican Republic today. Eastern Airlines, Boeing 767-200. Not many of those left in the world at all. I think outside of America, it's just Air Zimbabwe have one, I think, that's not flying anymore. There's a Russian airline that flies some. Other than that, Eastern are the only airline that fly them on scheduled routes. This is the sort of last real opportunity to fly on one of these in the States, and it's 39 years old at the moment, this plane here. It was delivered back in the early 80s, 1984. It's one of the oldest 767s still flying. It's going to take me down to Santo Domingo today, so I've been looking forward to this for ages. Can't wait to get on board and find out what it's like.
Now, Miami can be a really interesting airport. They have some really exotic and obscure airlines flying here from across the Caribbean and South America, and most of the more exotic airlines fly from Concourse F, which is the one we're flying from today. Now, it's a lot quieter than the main concourses here at Miami, but there's not much in the way of facilities down here, just a coffee shop and a pretzel stand. Before too long, the handful of passengers that were taking the flight down to Santo Domingo had arrived, and it was time to get on board our ride down to the Dominican.
Hello. Gracias, thank you. Alright, time to get on board the 40-year-old plane down to the Dominican. Let's go. Hello.
Morning.
Good morning.
3A. Right here.
Thank you.
You guys together?
Yes.
Third row right there.
Thank
Window
you.
Stepping on board the 40-year-old Boeing 767 was like taking a trip back in time to the early 80s. It looked like nothing had been changed since the day it was delivered.
Alright then, welcome on board the Eastern Airlines 767-200. I mean, this is interesting. Business class, we're up here in business class today because it was only like an extra $100 over the sort of 300 that they were charging us for the economy class seat, so I thought, well, we'll come and sit up the front. Very old, proper old school, sort of 222 recliner on a 767 as well, which is not common. Normally you get 212 on a 767. This is 222, and there's just a few rows here at the front like this. Old school overhead bins and things at the top. They've got the old monitor there, the big system for the in-flight entertainment at the front. Not seen that in a long time. It's interesting. The seat isn't particularly comfortable, but then hey, what do you expect on a 40-year-old plane, hey? And we've
You're
got.
not particularly comfortable now.
Oh, hello. Rachel's joined us.
Hi.
What do you think to this 40-year-old battered old thing? And I
Are
mean,
you talking the plane or you?
I'm talking the plane actually, but
Yeah. Do you know what? I'll tell you when we land.
oh, you're reserving judgment. Okay. All right. So before we push back, let's have a little look around this seat. It's showing its age slightly. We've got these controls here down here for the footrest, which don't seem to work overly well because it just keeps dropping down, and in fact half the seats were still in the reclined position when we got on board, so I'm not entirely sure what's going on there, but anyway, that's that. We've got an ashtray, of course, which is always useful on flights in the 1980s. Retro safety car there. Then down this side we've got don't know what they look, light controls here. And then we've got this little cubby hole here, which is filthy. Yeah, filthy little thing there. Ew, okay, interesting. And that's about it, really. But there's plenty of leg room anyway, which is nice. Beats going on A320s or something like that when you can fly on something, a living piece of history like this.
It wasn't too long before we were pushing back from the gate to get on our way to the Caribbean. We headed out to the runway where it soon became obvious that an empty Boeing 767 with only minimal fuel on board for such a short flight was pretty much like a rocket on takeoff. Just watch how fast we climb out from Miami. Our route today then took us southeast out of Miami, flying over the Bahamas and Turks and Caicos down to Santo Domingo. Flight time today 1 hour and 41 minutes, cruising at 37,000 feet.
Alright then, airborne from Miami. Wow, what a takeoff that was. There are 36 people on board this plane today for less than a 2-hour flight. So yeah, this thing is like a rocket, and I think the crew were having a bit of fun on that takeoff, I have to say. That was pretty cool. But we are heading now, rocketing down to the Dominican Republic on the old Eastern Airlines 767-200. This plane, by the way, originally delivered 1984, as I've mentioned. It flew for Egypt Air for a long time, back in the day when they had 760s. It flew for South African for a long while as well. Eastern Airlines have had it for about the last 13 years, operating it on these flights. Now, Eastern are a bit of a unique airline. As I mentioned before, they have this one flight per month that's a scheduled flight. They do a lot of charter work for the US government. They do a lot of flights to kind of obscure places in Cuba and along the Mexican border and places like that. They do a lot of government charter work that's kind of under the radar a little bit. If you track their planes on Flight Radar, you can see where they end up. They go to some pretty cool places. But this is the only scheduled flight that they've got once a month. I am presuming there's some reason for this. I'm presuming that it's because, for example, that they might need to keep a license going, or for insurance reasons or something like that. They often flights like this are for that purpose. With it only being once a month, there's not many people on board, because obviously if people get down to the Dominican, how are they going to come back? They need to fly on a different airline. So that's why there's probably not many people on board. I'm going to go and have a wander around the cabin in just a minute. We'll explore this old 767-200, but for now I'm just enjoying the comfort. What do you think, Rach, to the Eastern 767-200?
I'm still reserving judgment until we get there.
You mean until they can't hear you?
I don't mind if they can hear me or not. I mean, okay, it's an old plane, but it's still relatively comfortable, and so far they haven't done anything that's made me think, whoa, get me out of here.
Well, that's good. That's good. This is the first time you've ever been on one of these old, kind of really old airliners with me, isn't it?
Yeah, usually you get to do this by yourself, so this is quite nice for me.
It's time for the Noel Phillips Lou Review.
Alright then, welcome on board the 40-year-old 767-200 Lou on the Eastern Airlines 767. I've had to sort of keep my foot wedged against the door because the latch doesn't work and it doesn't lock. So yeah, hopefully nobody else tries to come and use the toilet. Shouldn't be a problem because this is the business class Lou. There's only me and Rach in business class apart from the crew and the maintenance engineers on board, of which there are several. That's always a good sign, isn't it? But this is what the Eastern Airlines 767-200 Lou looks like. Very retro. We've got the metal sink thing going on there. We've got a nice sort of tap layout there. There's an ashtray there. A call button. Toilet. It's relatively clean, just very dated, old school toilet flush there. Look, you can tell. You can tell this plane is very, very old and very well used, although it's not quite as bad as I thought it sort of might be, but there we go, apart from the fact the door doesn't lock, but hey, there's not enough passengers to have to worry about that, really, is there? So yeah, that's it. So yeah, overall not too shabby at all for a Lou that's almost 40 years old. I'm going to go and head back to my seat and have a bite to eat, I think, if there is anything. I don't know, is there? It's a 2-hour flight. Not sure, I'll find out.
That was the Noel Phillips Lou Review.
Lou review complete, and it was now Rachel's turn to try the retro Lou.
What did you think? Slightly retro, yeah?
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Now, one thing that did surprise me about this 40-year-old plane was that it had Wi-Fi on board with a good selection of movies to watch on your device. Now, there's no internet access though, but for a plane that's 40 years old, I thought that it was still pretty cool.
And there is literally nobody on this plane. This is the economy class cabin. There's a couple of passengers sitting up there in the forward economy cabin. But this is the rear economy cabin. There is literally not a soul inside. This is so eerie. It's so strange. I mean, they fly once a month. There's not really any wonder that it's not the most convenient schedule for people, is it? But that's pretty cool. You've got a lot of space to stretch out back here, haven't you? Alright, there is a food service on board. This is the business class meal that you get on Eastern Airlines. A packet of Dipsy Doodles. A can of Diet Coke. And a bottle of water. That's it. A bottle of water. A warm bottle of water, yes. It's been sitting out in the Florida sun, I think, but that's okay. It's only about an hour and a half to 2 hour long flight, so not too bad at all, really. Alright, so I think I have my answer as to why Eastern Airlines only operate one flight a month. I've just been chatting to the purser, or the lead flight attendant here on this flight. And essentially it's because they operate all of the US military and government charters that they do. They need to operate one flight per month as a commercial flight in order to maintain that certification to be able to do that. Without this one flight a month, well, they're not allowed to do flights for the US government, which is like 99% of what they actually do. So that is why they do this seemingly random flight, and it's interesting, really. These sorts of flights, I've been on them before. Han Air in Europe used to do them on the Citation. So you could fly on a private jet like once a week if you went on a specific route, because they needed to maintain their certifications as well. And it's just how it's a loophole effectively that allows them to keep running. And it's a nice loophole. I mean, the chance to actually ride on a 767-200 like this and pretty much have it to yourself as well, it's pretty cool. Now, as much as this is an incredibly cool way to ride down to the Dominican, there isn't something in the back of my mind that's making me think this could very well be the last time I ever get to ride on a 767-200. They were never a popular aircraft, really. As soon as the 300 came out with their extended cabin and more seats and things like that, well, everybody went to those. The 200's kind of a bit like the ugly stepchild, really, isn't it? It's not many of them flying at all. A lot of airlines had them back in the day, but these days, not many at all. And this could very well be the last time I ever ride on a 200. There's Air Zimbabwe fly them. Apparently we were hoping to fly one last year and never got to do it. An airline in Russia fly them. Again, not really much chance of that happening at the moment. Other than that, I think Eastern is pretty much it. So if you want to get a ride on one of these things before they go out of service, which I have a feeling might not be too long in the future, then do it. Get onto Eastern Airlines website, get a flight with these guys booked down to Santo Domingo. You will not regret it. It's an amazing way to travel in 2023 on a plane that's nearly as old as I am. It's like a throwback to the 1980s, and there's not many opportunities to get that in aviation these days. And well, come and fly from Miami to the Dominican with Eastern, and well, you could get that throwback as well, I guess.
And you see, that's the thing about aviation. Like so many aircraft before it, the 767-200 has gone from being a common sight to a rarity without us even realising it. In my almost 40 years of being an av geek, that's probably the most important lesson I've learned. Ride on these planes whenever you get the chance, because you never know when you might wake up one day and find them all gone for good. And all too soon, my ride on the 767-200 was over as we smashed down onto the runway in Santo Domingo. Now, I'm not entirely sure what was going on with the throttles on that landing, but needless to say, we got down on the runway okay in the end, even if it did result in all the overhead lockers flying open when we touched down.
Good morning, we would like to welcome you to Santo Domingo, where the local time is 10:57.
My flight today then cost me $497 US, or around about 59 cents per mile. Considering this gets you the chance to fly on a retro plane like the 767-200, I thought that was fairly decent value for money. It's not brilliant, I could have got it a lot cheaper with another airline, but let's face it, you're not going to get a ride as cool as a retro 767-200 with American Airlines or Delta, are you? Alright, thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you. I'll check your
Thank
channel
you.
in a bit.
Alright, awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, missus. Come on. We headed through passport control to baggage claim, where we waited for our bags. And waited a bit more.
One eternity later.
Right then, welcome to Dominican Republic. Bit of an issue though, we've been waiting for an hour now for the bags. Just found out that it's the reason they're not out yet is because the plane's broken and the baggage door won't open on the plane. So they're waiting for engineering to go and fix it so they can open the door. And maybe at some point today get our bags off. So we're stuck here waiting while the plane's broken. So this is the joys of flying on 40-year-old planes, Rach. They get a bit old and creaky sometimes.
The longer we waited, the angrier people were getting as flights came and went and we were still waiting for them to open the cargo door. Finally though, there was a welcome sound. And several minutes later, something miraculous occurred.
Gracias. Thank you.
An incredible 2 hours after stepping off the plane, we finally had our bag and it was time to get our ride to our hotel.
Hey, how are you? Thank you for waiting.
Hey.
All right, thank you. Yeah, okay, I'll slide in that side. Ugh. Hola, buenos días. Yes, thank you. All right then, welcome to La Romana, Dominican Republic, Rach. Did you enjoy your flight with Eastern Airlines?
The flight was okay. Wait for the baggage, not so much.
Yes, apart from wait for the baggage because the plane door wouldn't open. But hey, it doesn't matter because we are here now in this beautiful resort.
We are.
Look at this room we've got, look guys. So we've got our bedroom here, and look, we've got our own private little pooly bit here, look. Look at this. Isn't this amazing? This is the Hilton La Romana Resort. I don't usually stay in places quite as nice as this when I'm travelling, Rach. They're not always this nice, Rach.
Yeah.
Normally it's a crappy travelling or something.
Yeah.
You say. We don't do nice hotels on this channel, guys, do we? It's always like travel lodges and Premier Inns and stuff. But anyway, this is the Hilton La Romana Resort. Very, very nice resort. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Anyway, we're going to have a couple of days here now, aren't we, Ducky?
We are.
Some
early anniversary present.
Early anniversary present.
Birthday.
And birthday and everything else. We'll find a reason to celebrate. We always do. So yeah, we've got a couple of. You're going in the pool, all right then. Well, I'll see you out there. And I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.